Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closure Show. As always, I'm Scott Carson. I'm here, excited to be here with you this morning. I'm extremely jacked up and excited to have our VP of Portfolio Management, Jennifer Dagenhart, join us literally across the hallway to share with us, going through some case studies today, right, Jen?
Yes.
Now, one of the
fun, exciting case studies.
Yes, exactly. So one of the great things, kind of preface this, is that every time we do a mastermind event, we put case studies together. And, about, hey, what did we buy these assets at? What did we find on the front end? Talk a little bit about due diligence. And then we open it up to our mastermind, which is in round tables, and each table bids on the asset. All right. And then we share after they bid of what we bought it at and kind of what's happened with the asset. So now, are all of these case studies good, Jen?
No, not at all. Not at all.
But would you say on the portfolio that you're managing a huge chunk of my portfolio. You've had, especially on all the stuff that we bought in the last year, you'd say, what, we get about half of it, 60% of it reperforming with the borrowers?
I'd say 60, and now that it's tax season, we're working on maybe about 65, 70%.
Yeah, it just takes time. It takes time communicating. Now, you do a really great job. I'm very lucky that we have a Jennifer in our office. Everybody wishes they had a Jennifer, right?
I wish I had a Jennifer.
So maybe we need to hire you, an assistant there to help out with everything, huh?
We need to clone me.
Clone you? Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, but the beautiful thing is we put a PowerPoint together, and we're going to work through this. We are going to open it up for questions. So I'm going to jump on here and make sure we get the Facebook thing up and running so I can take questions, because I guarantee we'll have a lot of questions on this live from our audience. If you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher on the podcast, this video will be available on YouTube and Vimeo and stuff like that for you to go out and take a look at as well. So definitely want you to do that, because while we have removed the addresses to make it a little bit of anonymous, we do have photos, and we do have the city states of where these assets are located. So Jen just looked at me funky there. She's like, oh, you did delete the addresses off, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't know for sure. Since it's a little different than the mastermind.
Yeah, exactly. Since it's kind of an open forum, we didn't want to list an address and have the bar come back. And why you call me crazy? Why?
Yeah, no, that's okay. I don't want that.
Yeah, we don't want that, exactly. So let me pull up my PowerPoint I got here that I worked on this morning for the mastermind. There we go. So, all right. So this first one, let's start off one. So this one's in Limestone, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. You can see this is what we pulled the street view. The realtor's photo wasn't that much better, but the unpaid balance on this one was just under 44.5. Okay. BPO of 61 and some change. Yeah. Monthly P&I was 401.49. They were 6 months in default, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,520 square feet, and then the market rent rate is $675, right, Jen?
Right. Yes.
So as always asked, since this is a contract for deed, this is a first lien contract for deed. Most of these are going to be contract for deeds. The beautiful thing is since these were non-performing, most of the time you're going to be buying somewhere around 35, 40, 45% of the unpaid balance, right? So we've seen what we purchased at these at a lot of times.
Pretty much, yeah.
And what are some other things that we consider when we're looking at buying the assets, then, Jen?
We're going to look and see how recently their last payment date. We're going to look as far as utilities, taxes.
Owner occupied too?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Well, in the majority of them, they'll have it listed. We can do a name verification based on the information that we get. So, but yeah, I mean, the main thing we want to see is the percentage of ROI based on the initial and then the most recent paid. So we usually filter that down to the past 6 months to a year, and then filter through those. And then start doing the fun stuff as far as utilities and stocking and
yeah, and you were a little nervous the first time we submitted a big order in, because I said, listen, we'll just run it based on ROI, taking the principal and interest payment and figuring roughly a 30 to 35% ROI if we got them reperforming.
Right.
And that was, 100 plus assets, $1 million plus $1.6 million offering, and you were like, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, I was a little more than, oh my gosh. Yeah, because you're like, yeah, just throw it up there. And I'm like, wait, we're bidding at like $1.6 million. Do we have that? You're like, oh, we'll get it. Don't worry about it. And they're not all going to come back. So,
And that's a valuable point. We made offers on 100. I knew right off the bat we weren't going to get 100% accepted.
right.
And what happened? What happened?
We ended up getting what, 60 of those?
And then through due diligence, what we end up finalizing them out at?
I think 38 or 40.
Yep, right about
So,
39, if I remember correctly. So that's the thing we reiterated with everybody at the mastermind this weekend is, hey, make more offers. You'll get more accepted versus making 2 or 3 and then not getting anything accepted. Make a bigger pool offering, and you'll be happier because you'll have plenty of time to kill the stuff doing due diligence. And we killed plenty of assets off for a variety of reasons, right, Jen?
right. Well, not only that, but even if they come back accepted from, from the hedge fund or whatever, I mean, once we start going through them, just because they accepted it doesn't mean we have to purchase it. We can go back and say, hey, even if they did accept all 100%, 100 of them, we could go back and say, you know what, I'd rather have this one than that one. This is a better ROI, so kick that one back, or, different things that we find out through due diligence. So even if we got 60 accepted, we could have killed off, those 40 instead of, the hedge fund doing it. So it's all just going through and doing the process and doing your due diligence to actually, you can basically get the number you want. So if you want to close on 10, you have 10 and 20 accepted, then you decide which 10 you want.
Mm-hmm.
So
good point there. So we ended up buying this asset at 30 grand. Now that's a little high off the UPB. It's about 65% of UPB and roughly about 30% of the BPO. I mean, 50% of the BPO, but we bought this in October.
All right.
And you want to take the rest of the way there, Jen? Talk about a little bit.
Well, this one we went ahead and agreed to purchase it at the 30 because once we contacted utilities and taxes were current, utilities were on. As you can tell by the photo, it was evidently occupied. There was a vehicle there, and it wasn't completely run down, so there is a sense of pride of ownership. We purchased it in October. We mailed out our hello letter. They immediately contacted us in November, and they were like, hey, I've been making payments. I stopped receiving a response, so I didn't make a payment for the last 2 months. So technically, they weren't 6 months behind. They were only 2 months behind. So then they contacted us based on our hello letter, and we reestablished payments with them. They actually pay a little bit extra, not significantly, like it's very minimal, but they've paid on time every month since November. And I don't hear from them. I get the update from Madison saying they've paid, and that's it. So this is a very easy. They signed a trial payment plan. Everything's gone as agreed. So after a year, we'll review it and see what we need to do.
Exactly. And that's the beautiful thing is after a year, payments will probably turn around and sell this thing off at 85% of yield. Right now, it's a 16% ROI based on the payments received and stuff like that, which is not bad. We keep making payments. It's going to be even more phenomenal if we rock and roll on stuff. So It's good stuff. Let's move on to another one here. In Newark, Ohio, what is funny is I think Bill Griesmeyer from the Mastermind said he rides his bike in Newark and actually rides bike to this house.
Oh, well, he can go by there and knock on door if ever needing to.
Exactly. BPO on this one, broker price opinion was 58. Unpaid balance on this was 31 and some change. Principal interest 274. Last pay date was February 2017. 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,600 square foot. Rent rate's 800. What everybody needs to know too is that some of the specifics of the notes. These are all rated at roughly 9.9% interest, approximately in over 30-year amortization for most of the contract for deeds that we buy.
None of them have been less than 9%. They're usually 9, 9.9, and 10.
Yep.
So.
And the bars have put something down, but they've been usually at least about 2 years since they were financed by the seller, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So let's go by this. So this one, we picked this one up for $13,144. We bought this in June of last year. Jen, why don't you take it over? Because you've been the one that's talked to most of these people.
So this one, when we purchased in June, they basically, it was saying that they had not made a payment since February. we purchased it in June. We ended up talking to them. I want to say this one was probably August, early time frame, because this is we talked to them in August when we still had the whole transition with the servicing, the issues with that, and so they contacted us, and basically this one, the ROI was originally 25.07% based on that one. They started making their first payments. They paid consistent for the last 7 months, but after their 6th month, we agreed that they were going to start paying $50 extra a month. So I actually need to calculate the new ROI on that, because effective April, they started paying $50 more per month to finish out their year.
Exactly. I think I made an offer at a 30% yield. The seller countered back at roughly 25%. We said it's still a good deal. That's what we look for. It's kind of our baseline when we have joint venture partners. That way we can provide like a 12% return to our funding partners on cash flow. We can collect 12. If they don't pay, then we look to foreclose, evict, and move on. But this person's been on time for 7 months, huh?
Yes. Yeah. So actually, like I said, last April, I think, April was their last paying at their minimum payment, and now they're starting to pay the $50 extra for that last 6 months, and then we'll do it the modification after the year.
Yeah, it's perfect. And then the beautiful thing is the value's there. The UPB is 31. There's still $18,000 between what we bought the note at and the roughly unpaid. The BPO's higher, obviously, so they've got some pride of ownership. You can't really tell here, but they do have the star in the photo, and I guess it was trash day.
Yeah.
But they reached out immediately for the most part, and we would have had a faster payment, except that the servicing transfer didn't go smooth from the previous servicer to Madison Management, right, Jen?
Right, but they had already mailed in their payment. They mailed their payment into NAA, so we actually got that kickback from NAA and applied to their loan because there was 2 payments. They actually weren't past due at all with NAA.
Oh, wait. So they've been on time. They were just behind previously, right?
NAA just didn't have the records straight. They were never behind. They were actually performing. They'd been mailing payments. NAA just didn't have the records updated when we purchased it. So we got it at a very great price because we got it as a non-performing when technically they were a performing loan with NAA. Wow.
So we could technically move this asset right now if we wanted to as a performing note then. Wow. Well, let's talk about that. So you figure 85% of UPB is what? That's roughly in the mid, like 26,000. We could double our money based on what we pay this relatively fast. Plus, we've gotten $2,000 plus in payments at the point. So the ROI could be very, very much higher than 25%, right, Jen?
Yes.
Good job. Good job. For those that are watching, do we have any questions from anybody out there that's watching this morning? I'm just clicking over here to see if we got any other questions, comments from people. Confirm with that. All right, keep moving on here. Let's move on to the next one. In South Bend, Indiana, the Golden Domer one, as I like to call this one, Touchdown Jesus.
Yes.
Now, this asset's about 2 miles south of Notre Dame, which is one of the things we looked at. The BP on this is 42.6. Unpaid balance is 22 and some change. P&I is 224.93. The last pay date was March of last year, based on the spreadsheet when we bought this thing.
Mm-hmm.
The small house, I don't think that 616 square foot is accurate, but hey, right at 650. And then why don't you talk about this one, Jen?
Well, this one, if we ever had contact with the borrower, we could verify the square footage and everything. But this one, honestly, Madison's never received a phone call. We've never received a phone call. We just started receiving payments. Greg went by there whenever he and his father were up in South Bend, took the picture, and let us know that it was still occupied. But we honestly, I don't have a phone number. I don't have an email address. I have his name. We've mailed out a trial payment plan based on the payments that he's made. No signature, no return. We basically just get payments every month.
Or double payments, because the guy's been very good about making double payments.
Yes, right? Whenever we first took over, he doubled up September to October. So he, based on the information, he was behind a couple of months. Sorry, I'm about to cough.
Bless you.
I am choking.
Don't be choking on these high returns.
Yeah, technically. So yeah, he doubled down, and then like I said, I mean, I've tried to make contact with him and have had nothing in
Right.
return. So
Well, the thing is too, when we bought this as a bulk deal because we based on the realtor asset photos, it looked pretty good based on nice property.
right,
I mean, in worst case, we take it back because there's such a ton of equity in there between 42 and what we paid at 9,
right,
even between the UPB at 22 and 9. I'm gonna be honest with you guys; these are not get rich quick deals. This is the idea of building a portfolio of assets that are bringing in. Hey, like so, we got 2 of these assets. Hey, they're bringing in $300, $400 a month. That's residual over time. How many of those do you need to replace your bills and to leave your job or to do this full time? You know what I mean? So, you all right over there?
yeah. Allergies are killing me today.
Kicking your butt. All right. Well, let's move
Yes.
on. Let's get it out of South Bend and move on to Urbana, Ohio. Okay.
This one actually, this one I like this one.
Well, I'll let you take it from the beginning then, Jen.
Well, no, this one's just it's a cute little house. This is one of those ones that you'll totally get sucked into. It's like, oh, it's so cute, and
Uh-huh.
you want this one. But the numbers worked out on this one really well. This one, when we purchased it, I want to say this was when our first batch, so it was like in May or June.
Yep.
Um, we this one it numbers worked out great. It was saying that they were about 4 or 5 months behind. 1,048 square feet. The rental rate has a decent rate in that area. It was well kept. I believe the realtor, when they came back with the CMA, said that it would be an easy, even if it was vacated and needed some work, that it would be an easy turnaround and sell, just because the condition and the area. This one we literally got for less than 10, 995.
Yeah, 9,500 basically, 9,600.
Immediately, this one, I want to say the borrower reached out to Madison once they got the hello letter. I turned around and got the information from Madison, contacted them. We set up a trial payment plan. If they were making just their minimum payment, which this one was the 201,
Yep.
our return on this one was 25.23. They actually pay an additional, like right at 80, well, like $95, $96 extra a month. So our ROI on this one went up to 37.5. She's paid on time. She's been consistent. She has one hiccup. She'll call me and tell me, she's like, hey, my paycheck was shorter this month on this pay period. And I'm like, okay, well, let's pay what you can on this one, and then we'll split the payment. So I'll send Madison a note saying, hey, we're going to split the 2 payments this month. But I mean, she's a great tenant. She's very cooperative.
Right. And that's the thing too, is we do things a little bit differently here at what we do. I mean, Jen's got a ton of experience with talking with borrowers from her previous life before WCN. And that, was that a big exhale? Like, oh gosh.
No, I'm trying to breathe.
Okay. But that's the thing, is we still have Madison Management dealing with things. We still have the law office of Daniel Singer doing some heavy lifting
Right.
for us. But
Right.
since we've got an experienced person like Jen, one of the things that we do once we buy an asset, 2 weeks from the day that we close, we go ahead and send out our own hello letter, right, Jen?
Yes. We'll just send out a friendly, hey, we purchased the property from Harbor, or whoever, it's coming from. The servicing is going to be transferred from AA over to these people. You need to contact, Madison at this address, this phone number, this webpage. Contact us so that we can, work with you. Our main goal is to keep you in your home. So a lot of people, it is a friendly letter, and it's not, to me, it doesn't come off as being like a strict, like, we're coming after you, we want our money, now we own this loan, you have to pay this amount. It's more of like a, hey, what's going on, let's talk kind of thing. I think it's personable enough to where we're getting enough return on it, or at least to where they're making the phone call. And a lot of these people, they love to call me and not leave me a voicemail, but little do they know, that their number still pops up. So what I can do is I will pull that number and I'll reverse phone number it, and then I can find who they're calling, because a lot of these people will call and say, oh, I've been trying to reach her and I can't make my payment because she hasn't returned my phone call. Well, if you don't leave me a voicemail, I have no clue who you are.
Mm-hmm. But caller ID and doing a reverse background check can help us out that dramatically.
Right. And so there's a lot of them that, that they're kind of, I think they're a little standoffish as far as that initial contact, because it's not some big companies where they can say, oh, I talked to A, B, C, D, and E. So it's a different story every time because you have 8 different people you talk to at one company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here it's just me. So when they call me, they're not getting, 8 different representatives, they're getting me directly. And so a lot of the times they'll, well, I talked to so-and-so here and they said this. No, you talked to me because that was me. Like the one guy, he didn't remember talking to me. I was like, we have a signed trial payment plan. He's like, oh, that was you I talked to. I'm like, I'm the only one in here. Like, who did you think you talked to? So, so no, it's the welcome letter, we get a lot of feedback off of that. When they do call, if they don't leave a voicemail, I'll pull it up and try to see, and then I'll call back and say, hey, I missed your phone call. And it surprises a lot of people, especially the ones that didn't necessarily want to make the phone call, but they did. And then they'll, we can kind of go from there. But at least it gives me a starting point, because a lot of these people, we're going off of information based off of their collateral files where when they originate the loan. So we don't know if it's a current number or if it's not,
Exactly. But that's why we use a lot with white pages and Facebook to stalk people. We'll even jump on and see if they've got a LinkedIn profile and see where they work and find a work number. And, our old goal is to reach out to them. It's not in a negative fashion. It's more of like, hey, let's work together and to make this a win-win. It's not combative at all. We got a couple questions here. So Josh Cox says, knowing you're starting with 35% of UPB, are you also looking at a percentage cap on cost to value, especially if the property value is less than the UPB? So if the property value is less than UPB, we're not going to go off of UPB then, Josh. We're going to go off the lesser of the two, either the UPB or the value of the property. Okay? So that's one thing. You don't usually want to be above 50% of the value. All right? And then Patrick Yancey asked a question, because I'm not an investor. Can I make money finding notes and selling them without having to buy them? You could, Patrick, but if you're not an investor and don't understand what the heck you have, you're really just a joker broker of trying to sell stuff what you have no idea what it is you're selling. And you don't want to be a joker broker. Those people get burnt out and get blocked pretty relatively quickly in this game. So that's why it's important to understand, hey, you can raise capital, go buy some of these deals yourself, and make some good money. So let's move on to another deal here as we get rocking and rolling. This one's in Freeport, Illinois. Don't know why we have a realtor's view of the back of the house, except for maybe, what is that, a campfire out there?
So for some reason, the way this house is, you can't drive in the front of the house.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, something the realtors explained it to us, but yeah, you literally, to go to the front of the house, you have to walk around. And since it was owner occupied, they didn't feel comfortable at that time walking. Exactly.
The BP on this one's 62 some change. Unpaid balance is 31,750. P&I is 275 basically. Last paid was March 20th of last year. It says 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom, 48 square feet, but I think that's inaccurate. But anyway, rental rate's $875 a month, and we paid a nice little chunk of them. We paid $13,400 for this one, right, Jen?
Yes. Yeah. This one, bless her heart. This lady, she tries every single month, and she's doing it. But it's a struggle. We talk every single month. She actually has, I don't want to call it a caseworker. She has a program manager from, it's a home ownership counseling and education. So they're helping her go through and budget and finance to pay her mortgage along with her other bills, but mortgage is the priority, which is great. But this is after us working with her for about 3 months, and the first 3, like, she'd make a payment, make it on time, it would get kicked back to NSF. Then she'd turn around, she'd remit the payment on that one. She'd go to make her next month's payment, that one got kicked back to NSF. And every single time it was a different story, for whatever reason. So we finally we adjusted her due date. It just wasn't falling in line with when she was getting paid. And so we pushed her due date back a little bit, but in doing so, I made her pay a little bit extra. So that there was that cushion as far as, okay, well, if we're allowing you this, and it's not going to go just to late fees, you're actually going to be paying towards your principal.
Right.
So this one, the original ROI would have been 24.59. She is paying $404 a month, so she's paying quite a bit more. So ROI goes up to 36.18. Anytime there's an issue, she's not only communicating with me, but she's communicating with the program manager. So there's 3 different points of contact that we're working on with this one loan. This is the one that you ended up talking to the program manager as well, and told them that if she would pay for that full 12 months, that we'd forgive 100% of her remaining back payments, and that we would drop her payment instead of being the extra down to her minimum payment due again.
Mm-hmm. And the program manager was kind of surprised that we were so easy to work with, right, Jen?
Yes, she actually specifically said that she wished there was more companies like us, because with this area, a lot of the homeowners try to apply for like the hardest hit funds and stuff like that, and they don't qualify because it's the CFT.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was saying that there's a lot of people that don't have a resource that they can reach out to. And so a lot of the banks and stuff aren't willing to work. There's foreclosures, evictions, going through like crazy. And so it was nice to have someone that came in looking for help and counseling, that they're actually able to show, that there is help out there outside of just the cut and dry. So yeah, the caseworker was really surprised and impressed. She said that she has not heard of anyone like us doing what we're doing. So
and the beautiful thing is there's so many like us in the mastermind group, and people are doing things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the borrowers don't reach out a lot of times. Now we would have given the same thing to the bar if the bar had reached out to us directly.
Right.
They're trying to do a loan model. We're like, listen, let's just do this. Let's just cut straight to the point. This is what we want. This is what we're willing to do, and let's make it a win-win.
Right.
So good stuff. Yeah. So I don't have a careless heart. It's not all a black.
And this one, she actually, in good faith, she went, after bouncing 3 payments to us, she went and sought financial education and counseling as far as how to help budget her money. So it's like, I'm not going to knock her for that. How many borrowers have ever done that we've dealt with? None. This is the only one. Yeah. And then so I think it was a great, it showed me that she has it in her heart to do good by this. So not only that, but she has small kids in the house, and she's a single mom working as hard as she can. She's trying to do it the right way. So everyone runs into hiccups. So, we work with her. She has to split up a payment, or 1 month might fall a little bit short. As long as we can make it up within the next month, then, and I adjust that. I send Madison an email, and then I adjust it on, our child payment plans, because I keep a copy of them all in their little folder. Mm-hmm. And make notes on them every month, so that they've paid and not paid and stuff. So
you just have a small stack there back to your left side there with a pink folder on top, don't you? Right behind you there, people can see them.
So that's the ones that we're pinning signatures. These are the ones that we have signatures on.
Yeah. The last couple of weeks too. That's the beautiful thing.
We've gotten a lot in the past couple of weeks, and now it's just a matter of getting them organized. And because a lot of them will scan me the copies back, but I want the original. So it's a matter of going through. I have the scanned copy, but I want the original mailed back to me. So now I'm following up and saying, hey, mail me back the original. And then some of them that we've mailed out, they just haven't signed, period. Mm-hmm. Either electronically or not. So it's just a lot of following up on some of these.
Yeah. Let's move on to this one in Toledo, Ohio. And this one has an interesting story, a long story, actually. This is a BPO of 73. What you can see is there's a detached 3-car garage right next to this asset. That's a part of it. Plus an empty lot, a vacant lot right next to it. It's included with the deal, right, Jen?
Yes.
Unpaid balance is 31 some change. P&I is 272.27. Last pay date was March of last year. 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1530 square foot. Rental rates are $850. And this one had bounced around on lists for over a year, I know, that I had seen stuff. Right, Jen?
Yes. And we almost killed this one off. This was my little Easter egg that I found. It was hiding in the bushes, and everyone kept walking around it, but it wasn't spoiled yet. It was still good. So
That's the weirdest analogy anybody's ever described. But no deal. It's not a non-spoiled Easter egg.
Yeah, it's been, you know how like you hide the egg and you forget where you hid it and then you find it like a year later, but this one wasn't spoiled. So I made this happen to me one too many times with the kids.
Yeah, the worst experience there.
Well, it happened with the money egg. We always had a money egg, like a golden egg, and we hid it one year and could not remember for the life of us where we hid it. And then like we found it a year later when we were like replanting, bushes and stuff. And I was like, "There's that $20." Like,
there you go. Nice.
So,
well, this one, when you look at the street view, it shows the vacant lot, right?
So yeah, well, it shows a vacant lot and but it shows a really small lot, half a corner, a bunch of overgrown bush because where it's at. So you actually have to, and it's not even the right street if you're paying attention when you're doing the map. When you're doing the Google images, you actually kind of have to turn the corner, and the way the streets run, that street still stays the same name, but the address, the numbers change. And so you had to kind of go around that corner. So that's why everyone kept missing it. It looked like a vacant lot that there's no home, there's overgrowth, nothing's there. Really, you couldn't even see, so you didn't really know if there was, just a bunch of junk or if it was actually empty or what. So this one, you just kind of paid attention to directions on the map and ta-da, there's a little house.
There's a little house. It's not such a little house, 1,530 square foot, right. But we bought this one. We made an offer on this part of the bulk deal, and it turned out to be a really nice deal, huh?
Yes, this one actually has probably been one of our golden eggs. Mm-hmm. This one we purchased in June. Borrower, it took a little bit to kind of get all the details worked out and get contact with them. We didn't hear anything from them for the first 2 months, and so we kind of did some digging and Facebook stalking and come to find out they have their own lawn care business. That we found through some of the contact names that we had. So we contacted the lawn care business and asked them, basically if she, who she was, the same names matched up and everything like that. So I remailed a letter out to her and I addressed it on the outside to her lawn care business, but on the inside it was addressed to her and, courtesy of or whatever. And so then she finally made contact with us, I guess because she wasn't receiving her personal mail. She was only receiving her business mail at that address. So she made contact back with us. She started making payments. She never was behind. She was never in default. NAA just didn't have her records up to date. Story of NAA. She originally, through NAA, she was having her water and her taxes and her insurance everything escrowed along with her payment. Since she's came on board with us, we've kind of filtered through some of the debris of NAA because she had records and payment histories and receipts. And so Shantae was really good with us on going through the history on this one and kind of figuring everything out. So borrower's paying the water bill directly now instead of it being escrowed into her account. She's also paying her taxes directly to the county, as opposed to us having to have that serviced. And she pays on time. She pays more than what she's supposed to. So our ROI on this increased by 20%. So this one's been really good. She pays on time. There's never been an issue. Like I said, she owns her own business. She showed us proof of tax returns, everything like that when we were setting up payments. So this one's going to be a good return on this one. She should be paying off of her original balance and everything that she's doing. I see her as being one that she'll actually regain ownership of her home.
Yeah.
So
that's the beautiful thing is, and one of the things that we're looking at doing with this borrower here in the next, probably by August, once we've had it for a year, is getting her to refinance out of the loan and put it into a traditional loan. Right. Of either we convert this one to a mortgage or we sell it off. But the point is, this lady's been really responsive. I think I paid the water bill once.
Well, and what was happening was because since it was being escrowed, the water bills were being sent to NAA. Well, we had no clue because we weren't receiving them.
Yep.
they were still being sent to NAA. The borrower wasn't receiving them, so the only thing she received was a disconnect notice, and it was December 23rd that
Yep.
she received it. And so she reached out to us. I was homesick with the flu. I emailed you and said, hey, her water's going to be shut off on Christmas Eve. Can we do something? You turned around and paid, what was it, like 260 something
It was
bucks?
$374.
Yeah, so
But
374.
she's reimbursed us for that. That's
Right.
the thing is I like, she's making payments on time. This is a technical billing issue. It's not her
Right.
fault. And then since then, she's switched the water over to her name.
Right.
And
And she actually is one that I just reached out. I just spoke with her yesterday because taxes and everything were paid, but I guess there was one back in 2016 that is past due that Madison won't pay. And so they sent it to me. I sent it over to her and she said, paid it, done. It's taken care of. All taxes are current now. So yeah, I have that to upload into Yardi and get on there. But I mean, she is the only borrower that I honestly can say, I know in my heart of hearts, I feel 100% that she will actually regain her home ownership and be better off. Some of these, it's like they're doing great, but I don't know. But this one, she is squared away to a T. She's got everything down. She's working hard for it.
that's a good thing. That's a good feeling, isn't it? A really good feeling. And just to think that probably hundreds of people saw this asset and passed on it because they looked at it wrong on the Google Maps, right?
Yeah, that's why I said it's my little Easter egg.
Yeah, we almost killed it twice. I think Greg almost killed it. Nicole almost killed it as well, too, didn't they?
Well, it was killed. We killed it twice on tapes before.
Yeah.
It's been killed twice on tapes before. And then when we were going through our final, because this is one of those ones that was at 1.6 that we were looking at, and we were going through, and each one was doing different due diligence, and every time they were like, "Oh, this one," I was like, "Do not put," because it was always, they would put it in red, and then I would review it, and I was like, "Stop putting this one in red," and I'd get all mad and like make it bold green, like, we're going with this one. Stop doing that.
Exactly. So, good stuff. This one, a little bit different story than such a good story. This is a good-looking little house. It's worth 67. Unpaid balance on it's 36. P&I is $319 a month. Last pay date's March of this year. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,100 square foot. Okay. Rental rate's $1,035. And this one, we bought it for 15. Bought it in June. ROI based off the original payment was 25.12. Take it away, Jen, because you've talked with this borrower, and yes, I can see the look on your face.
So this one, it started off great. The borrower was very cooperative. They made double payments. They missed November's payment, said that they had an emergency coming up, and then with the holidays and kids. And so it was like, okay, well, when can you make your first, payment again? Oh, I can make it January after the holidays. Okay, well, let's set up a new trial payment plan, because I'm not gonna let you skip 2 months and then get credit for that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we're starting a new trial payment plan over again. They disappeared after October. I mean, I made phone calls. I'd get a phone call back with no voicemail. I would send emails with return receipt requested. You'd see that they read it, but no contact. And I even reached out to them and said, we understand things happened, that you may have fallen behind. Let's start over afresh. Let's see what we can work out. And just no response. They're still living there. It's still occupied, but they forfeited their trial payment plan for whatever reason, I don't know. And they're not even attempting to cooperate, which now I don't, it's not in their best interest. So the foreclosure is going to, it's in process, and it's unfortunate because they were cooperative and willing and able to. What happened, I don't know. I don't know if they just thought that they could not make payments and nothing would happen, like what happened when they were with their previous servicer, because it set for so long and their payments were scattered throughout on that one. Because if you go and look back at their payment history with NAA, it was they would pay good for a couple of months and then it would dissipate, and then it would a couple of months and then dissipate. So I don't know if that's just their MO and they're used to doing that without repercussions, but they're with WCN now, so we want our house or you pay.
Yeah, there's a lot of equity there too. That's the thing is on this one,
Right.
you never root for the homeowner not to pay, but they don't. It's an even bigger payday for us.
Right. Well, on this one, yeah, this one, it's, we gave you a chance, and if you're just going to take advantage of that, you know what? We got plenty of equity on this one to where we'll roll with it.
Exactly. And even if we do list it for sale at full payoff and it sells at foreclosure auction, it's a nice payday, about 20 plus grand for us.
Yeah.
So move on. It just happens. That's not they're not all good, everybody. You got to foreclose. They start the contract cancellations on quite a bit. So here's one in Laketon, Indiana.
Oh.
PPO of 34, UPB of 35 is the change. P&I of 333. Last payday was March. 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,900 square foot. Rental rates are $825. And this is one of your favorite borrowers, right, Jen? We bought this for $14,800 in June.
I didn't know what to say.
ROI, if they made the original payment, it would have been about 27% ROI. But as of April, we've collected some payments, which has been good.
You still have my note on there. You were supposed to take that.
No, I like the note because that's a good thing. But they've got NSF payments of $1,300. We've collected it. We've withdrawn the TPP, and the borrower's got to remit 3 months of payments by this week. Did they do that? Do you know if they did that?
Let me check, because I was just talking to Madison. This is one that I honestly, if Shantae's watching, I love her, because this was one where I was like, hey, I handed this one over to you guys. Mm-hmm. Let me refresh you. This is Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Right. So,
that's an inside joke, everybody. The borrower's name is not actually Rosemary. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's a bad.
Just crazy stories all the time from this lady, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, so every other day. This is one of those ones that she would call me on Monday 12, 15 times a day, and I would talk to her maybe 6 of those times. And it was frantic. It had to be resolved that day. This is what was going to happen. Okay, great. And then 2 days later, I haven't heard from you. I've been trying to call you for 2 months. I'm like, I just talked to you 2 days ago. No, I haven't talked to you. This is what's going on. Completely different story than what she told me 2 days before the 6 times I talked to her. It literally got to the point where it was like, okay, my phone would ring 20 times, and 19 of those times it was her. So I would have to I would agree to answer it 1 time a day, because it just got to be to where it was too much. And it went from she'd be really friendly, and I was baby sugar honey, and then it would be, yeah, well, it was like in tongue. Like, I don't even know what she was calling me. It was very not pretty.
The devil.
Yeah. So every time it was very much a different story, and it was very bipolar. Like, I didn't know who I was talking to. It was the same lady, but it was different stories and different personalities every time I talked to her. So this went on for a good 3 months, and then it finally got to where it was just like, okay, you're making a payment, you're bouncing it. You're making a payment. They've had 4 NSFs. And on those, when I have them remit payment for the NSF, I have them repay the NSF, plus they have to pay the fees that Madison, has charged and incurred.
Yep.
And then we usually try to make them pay a little bit more additional. So their last payment was April 5th. It was not the 3 months worth of payment by April 15th. I have a typo. But that I was just talking to Madison this morning about them, because they have past due insurance as well. So this one is, we're tweaking it as we speak on this one, because they didn't make it by the deadline. They made a payment on April 5th, but they didn't do the triple payment. So I don't know. It's going to be.
We can talk about whether we keep it and she keeps making a payment on time, or we reject the payment and bounce payment back to her and start the eviction process.
Right. But right now, we're not just dealing now with the 3 payments behind. Now we're dealing with some insurance, past due insurance that Madison does not escrow.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're kind of dealing with additional fees that are due. So it's a matter if we're going to, what we want to do on this one, and kind of look at the financials on it to see if it's worth it.
Yep, exactly. Let's move on. This one is Sedell, Illinois. You can see the date of the photo there is July 7th or July 6th of this last year. BPO 54, UPB of 38, and some change. P&I 334. 4-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,500 square foot. Rent rates are $650. The reason we put a rent rate on here, everybody, is so that it's a bargaining chip. If somebody can't pay $334 a month, then the least they're probably going to pay getting bounced out, evicted, is the $650 a month. Right. That's why it's the borrower's best interest to try to stay, because it's still 50% cheaper for them to stay versus to bounce out. They just start making payments on time.
Right.
So this one, let's talk about this one. Purchase price is 16. We bought this in June of last year. ROI off the existing payment would have been 25.52. They've not established a trial payment plan, but makes monthly varying payments, right?
Right. So this one, he's a little bit older. He's limited income disability. Not only that, he lost his spouse, and so he doesn't have the funds that he was receiving prior. And so he pays consistently every month. It's a matter of how much he's paying. So we'll receive $100 week 1. We'll receive $150 2 weeks later. We'll receive, $85, in between that next week and the week. It's very sporadic. There's not any rhyme or reason or schedule.
It's what he's got left available. I mean, the guy's really he's working. So the reason we're not canceling the contract on this one is because we do have a heart. You know what I mean?
And he's making the effort. And like I said, he calls me and he'll tell me, like, he paid $100 and then he went through and he got his medications and he paid whatever else, other bill, his water, utilities. Then he got his next payment, and so he paid a majority. He paid the $250 payment. After he paid his rest of the bills, he bought his groceries and did his, his budget. He had $100 left over, so he mailed us an additional $85. So his is very budget tied. I mean, it is very to a T budget, and he adheres to it really well. It's just, unfortunately, he doesn't have enough income monthly to where he can, just conveniently do it all in one. He has to kind of, budget around.
So we're working with a guy. I mean, that's the thing. We're working with a guy. It's not going to be the greatest returns on this one, but still, hey, the fact is that we've got a portfolio. We're still getting something, which is better than nothing.
Right.
And then we're still doing some good, because let's face it, the guy, we started foreclosure. Where would the guy go?
Right.
Nowhere.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's been, so September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. So 7 months he's made it. He's only actually technically paid 3. But if you figure if he can pay one actual payment, every other month, at least we're doing something, as opposed to, and he's still making, an effort. But he did turn around and pay his own taxes instead of having that escrowed. He paid that. So that, I think we probably, if we would have known that he was doing that, we probably could have worked with him, escrowed him in, and then had it to where his payments, to where he wasn't paying such a large chunk out just to taxes. To where it would have been applied all the way around. But I mean, he did it, and it saves us from having to advance any, escrow. So
exactly. We'll keep working with this guy. So here's a nice little property in Belleville, Illinois. You see the date of the photo is July 3rd, straight from the realtor. It's a A-frame looking, kind of Hollandish looking house with the garage next door to it. BPO, this one came back 81. Unpaid balance on this is 34 and change. P&I is 288. Last pay date was March. 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,204 square foot. Rent rates are just under $1,000 a month for this asset. And this is not bad. We bought it for 14 in June. Talk about this one, Jen.
This one, they have made contact with us once, and that was whenever we established, we sent out the hello letter. They called us and said, hey, we've been informed that you've taken over, our loan. What do we need to do to get caught back on track? We had money saved up to make our payments. We didn't like the servicing company before, NAA. We had an issue with them recording our payments and missing payments. So we haven't made a payment. We figured we would wait until we were contacted with whatever suit. If they were going to file eviction, we had the cash to throw down, whatever the case may be. And so we spoke. We kind of got the expenses figured out, what they could afford to pay monthly. They're paying an additional $72 a month. So they're paying right at about $350-ish based off of they were paying 280 to 90. So our ROI went up to 30 on that one. They put down a substantial first payment when they made it, and then they signed a trial payment plan for the $350 a month, and they paid every month since then. I haven't looked as far as April. I'll do the update here, probably soon. But I mean, on this one alone, $2,200. And they started paying, I want to say, in September, October.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So they've been on time. It's going to be a good little deal for us on this one. UPB's 34. They've got some equity there. Definitely, it's worth them to pay, and they've been pleasant. You've had one conversation with them because they've been paying on time ever since.
Yeah, the initial conversation, we had everything worked out. That first conversation, I sent them a trial payment plan. They signed it, sent it back, and I have not talked to them since then. I just get, every month when I run the report for Madison, it shows that they paid, so I mark them off the list, and we're done. So.
Jeff Wolf, the Wolf Man, says he sure wishes Jen had a clone here in California. And Jeff was one of the co-winners of our social media contest in the mastermind this last week. And him and Cody Cox took first and second.
Oh, Cody, sweet. Congratulations.
Yeah, they really liked the trophy, though. Wasn't that a pretty cool trophy?
Yes, it was. And how does it not surprise me that good old Cody Cox and his daily strolls.
Yeah.
Or Friday strolls.
Exactly. Here's one in Poly, Indiana. PPO 57 and some change. UBB 20 right at 25. P&I is 217. Last pay date was January of last year. This is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,600 square foot house. Like I said before, it's a much bigger house there. And you see the guy's got his lawnmower out there. I think if we get this is one of the pictures, you see the realtor's hood of the car and then the truck there. She drew a couple photos, and you see a lot of pride of ownership with the hanging plants and the pottery in the front yard. Rent rates on this is $750 compared to the $217 P&I. We bought this for just under 11. Mm-hmm. And why don't you talk about it, Jen?
This one, actually it's a couple. They have been great. I mean, they haven't, no issues with them whatsoever. They're actually doing some home repairs that we are in the process of signing off, since I guess it's the contract for deed and they don't have the actual ownership of it. We have to sign some paperwork for whatever contractor.
Yep.
So they're going to be doing some home remodeling, which is great on our end. So that's going to increase. But we purchased it 10-6, and we had a good ROI to begin with off of it. We were looking right at the 24-25%. We set up payment plans to where they're paying the additional 48-45. So we're looking right at a 30% ROI on this. They pay as agreed. They signed the TPP. They sent it back to us, no problems. They're paying their own taxes. They're paying, everything as they're supposed to. On this one, like I said, that he's doing some home remodeling and some upgrades. So, if that ever comes back, great. If not, then, they're increasing their own.
Yep.
On their end. This one is the highest interest rate that I've seen, and it has a 12% interest rate on this one. That's the only one I've seen it that high.
Yep.
So his additional payments, and that's what we're trying to do, is get him to bring down his principal, because so much is just going to his interest.
Well, he's at the point though that his value is being closer to 60 grand. He might be able to go out and get a traditional loan,
Right.
Pay us off and cash out, pull some equity out of the deal, and then pay us off in full, and then still have a decent interest rate. Actually a payment just about the same.
Right.
With the equity out, because it'd be a lower interest rate based on him doing some good stuff.
Yeah, his we'll be revisiting. His should be a September, October one that we revisit after the year.
Yep. Just around the corner if you think about it.
No, I know.
This one's in Columbus, Ohio, Buckeye Nation. BP of 30, UBB of 34 and some change. So he's upside down. P&I 295. Last pay date of February of last year. 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 936 square house. This is a OTSC house. Oh, that's so cute. Rent rate just under $800 a month. And let's talk about this one.
This one, to be honest with you, no contact with the bar. They started paying Madison We purchased this one in August. They had a payment to Madison in September. They're paying the extra on their own. So basically, I looked at their pay history in October, November, turned around and did a trial payment plan. Got a tickle in my throat. I typed up a trial payment plan based off of what they were paying to Madison already, mailed it out to them. They turned around, signed it, sent it back to me, and they just keep paying.
Which is great, which is awesome, which is exactly what we want. That's not the highest of ROIs, but 22% even on small little house is not bad. I mean, yeah,
right.
I paid 17 on this one's a little bit higher than I would have normally, but the house is in good condition. We had people drive by the property. It's been a nice little home run. I'll take 22% on a deal any day, right?
Right. And not only that, but I mean, considering we honestly, one single mail out and then a trial payment plan. And then, I mean, after a year, we can do this as reperforming. So, I mean, that right there in itself is huge. And like I said, they're paying the 33 now. I'm sure after the year, if I reach out to them, or even if I did it now, if I said they had to increase, but I'm not going to jinx a good thing that's already happening. Yeah. I'm not going to turn around and say, hey, you need to pay an extra 80, and then they stop paying. This is what I know they can afford because they're paying it comfortably on their own every month. So, hey, we're going to agree and roll with it. So,
yeah, exactly. Here's one in Springfield, Illinois, with the ice cream truck out in front there. Mm-hmm. Value of this one's 73 and some change. Unpaid balance is 32. P&I's 281. Last pay date was March of last year. 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,100 square foot house. Rent rate's $850 a month. Let's talk about this deal.
I guess because we purchased this one in August, I guess summertime ended and they weren't selling enough ice cream because they stopped making their payments and they forfeited their trial payment plan. He made his first payment on it and then we haven't heard anything. I've sent numerous letters in the mail. I've sent emails. I've made phone calls. Madison sends out their, late notices and escrow information that's needed. And he just, no contact whatsoever, which is odd because he was very determined and adamant and made that first payment. I mean, literally, I talked to him on the phone. He called that same day, made his payment online to Madison, and then ghost. We haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of value there. I mean, that's the thing. There's a lot of value there. I mean, we foreclose and sell it. We're going to still make out like a bandit, even getting full payoff based on the BPU on it. So it's unfortunate for him. It's fortunate for us. I mean, that's a big thing. Now, one thing to keep in mind, everybody, it took us roughly 60 to 90 days, depending on when the servicing transfer took place, for a lot of these to be able to even start payment plans. So even though we bought it in August, we didn't get the first really month payment until like November, if I remember, right, Jen?
Yeah, we didn't start seeing payments come through.
November, December, maybe.
It was, well, a lot of them were November, December. We had a couple, the ones that we had purchased in June.
Yeah.
We had a couple that trickled in September, but that was like 3. Everything else, it mainly hit October, November timeframe.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll foreclose on this one. It'll take a little while in Illinois, but it's still going to be a win-win for us on that, our investor too.
Right.
Done. Okay. Moving on here to Alton, Illinois. It's a fuzzy photo, but anyway, BPO is 32 on this one. UPB is 27 and some change, just under 28,000. P&I is 234. Last paid was February of last year. 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 745 square foot house. Rent rate 650. I paid 11 for this one. I bought this in June of last year. I'll let you tell the rest.
So this one started working out great. We went into a trial payment plan. They made their first payment, and our trial payment plan didn't even ask for the $100 additional. That's something they did on their own. Because I'll tell them, look, we're having you pay this extra amount, but if you ever can pay any extra, more than what I'm even asking you to pay, every little penny counts, and it starts bringing down your principal. And so they made their first payment. They paid $100 additional on top of what we were already asking them to pay, but it was returned as NSF. So, they made the next month's payment. It came back fine. And then they turned around and missed 2 payments. No contact, no phone calls. We, I think I sent
You sent a warning letter out, basically.
Well, I made a phone call and it got ignored. And so then I sent an email and I didn't get a response. So then I sent them the physical hard copy saying we're filing, we're going to proceed with the cancellation of contract, basically foreclosure. Expect to be hearing from our legal team, and said if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. If not, you need to contact Daniel Singer's office because this is one that I already had sent over. Before Daniel's office could even board it, borrower had turned around and contacted us, and we reestablished a trial payment plan, and they have been good to go since then.
That's good. So, got to hold their feet to the fire, right?
Right.
This one's in Flint, Michigan. This one's UPB of 36, BPO is 26. They're upside down. On this one, last payment is March. 3-bedroom, 1-bath. Rent rate's of $675. Yeah, this is Jen's favorite borrower here. We bought this for $15,000. They entered into a trial payment plan, paid 3 months and stopped, refused payments unless we made repairs on the roof, right?
Yeah. He didn't just request it. He was like demanding, harassing, borderline crazy about it. I mean, this was the one that I heard from every single day, at least 3 times a day. And then he started blowing up Madison, and he would contact both of us at the same time. And then he would start contacting you. Mm-hmm. So it was a group of all 3 of us that he was contacting several times a day.
Yeah, demanding.
He wasn't even the borrower on the whole. He wasn't even the borrower listed.
He's co-borrower. Was it with his brother-in-law or something like that? Mm-hmm. So we basically said, listen, at this point, it doesn't make sense. If we're going to fix the property and do all the work and you're not making payments,
right?
You're the right borrower. We're just going to, we've offered up basically cash for keys and a cancellation of contract. And that was sent out to them. And they had till the 15th, which was Sunday.
Right.
You have an update on them?
Yeah. So I've talked to him 5 times already today.
Oh, today? Wow.
Yes. So they did the trial payment plan. He made the 3 months, and then he refused unless we made the repairs. Then we said, we're not going to do it, because you haven't been making your payment. So then he made 1 payment. And he's like, okay, I made a payment. You guys do the repairs. Every time you make a repair, I'll make a payment. It doesn't work that way. And he tried to play the hardball. I mean, it was back and forth. He was saying that he was going to go to the news and all this other stuff. So he went where he wouldn't make a payment, but yet he felt free to call and harass, Shantae and even to the point where he was like, you guys are blocking my emails. No, we're getting them. We're getting all 12 of them a day, and Shantae and I would talk back and forth about it. But he was very much to where he tried to play one against the other and whatever he could. So we finally, I told him that, enough was enough. That's when you and I talked. We got a cancellation contract drafted up. And then I sent a very blunt email and said, look, we're not fixing your home. This is part of your responsibility. You're not making your payments. This is what we've come to is we would like to agree just to call it means to an end. Here's a cancellation of contract. Feel free to move about your, go on your way, and we're going to go on ours. Mm-hmm. So then that got drug out because that was, well, how long do I have to move out? And what are my repercussions? And I have a family to move and I can't just move out. When can I move out? So then it was the man that would email me 5 times a day and call me. Then when he would get a response, didn't hear from him for 3 or 4 days. Okay, well, I need a response from you because you're supposed to be vacating the house. No, we're in the process. Then I would hear from him. So he drew it out from the original vacate date was supposed to be March 30th. Then he drew that out to where the vacate date was supposed to be April 16th. I did get the cancellation of contract signed by both him and the co-borrower. They've agreed to vacate. The last update I had is that he's not fully out of the house. He still has a couple of boxes. The house that they're moving into is still being made ready, so he should be out by Monday.
Okay. So this Monday or next Monday?
No, Monday the 23rd. So I've already told him that we've already filed the paperwork with the county, that I need to call and let the clerk know an update on the vacate date, so that they're not going out to serve the papers if he's not there. He said he was still there, so I told him to be expecting a constable to be coming and serving the papers because we're not pushing it any further than what we already have. So we'll see if he's actually out by Monday. Now, can I actually do that with a constable? No, but the borrower doesn't know that. So he
So
just
what we need
thinks
to
that,
do, this is what we need to do. We need to send a realtor out and a locksmith and change the
right,
whole on Tuesday.
right. And he already knows that we have a locksmith on standby waiting to secure the property. So I need to know, but I'm trying to light a fire under his butt and tell him that basically the constable is just waiting on my phone call to say,
Yep.
which, yeah. So yeah, the constable and I are in cahoots over there.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, the thing is, if we're going to drop a bunch of money to fix a roof on it and they're not paying, we're not going to.
Right.
I don't mind letting it sit there.
Well, it wasn't just the roof, it was the basement too. So there was no pride of ownership because one, he let it deteriorate and brought to that point to where it started as a simple mishap. And he even said it was a small plumbing issue. And the thing is, he owns his own plumbing company.
Mm.
Because remember when the roofing bid, that's one of his friends that gave us the bid that was supposedly the better price and everything. So he's his own handyman. He's trying to get us to fit the bill. And that's when I was like, once I started digging around, I was like, you can't tell me that you need this amount of work done on plumbing when you're a plumber yourself. You know what I mean? Like it just, none of it made sense. It was very, so yeah, we'll see.
We'll see exactly. We'll do this one last one. We'll let everybody go because we're right at about an hour for everything. So this one's in Loyal, Wisconsin. It's a good looking little house.
Mm-hmm.
2 bed, 1 bath, 1,100. Rent rate $780. Last pay was February. P&I is just under $300 a month. BPO on this is 61 and some change. UPB is 33,853. And on this one, purchase price was 14. Bought this in June of last year. Take it away, Jen.
Sweetest little old lady I have ever talked to with the cutest Wisconsin accent. She tells me that I don't sound like I'm from Texas, and I tell her she definitely sounds like she's from Wisconsin. She elderly lady has limited income, but she's had enough collected and saved up that she's affording to make her payments. She had gotten a couple months behind with NAA because her husband had passed away, which is understandable. And so we happened to purchase the property right about the same time frame that she was ready to kind of come out of her shell in her grieving period. And so everything, we talked, she's friendly. She's in a garden club. She pays an additional monthly. She pays on time. She never calls me with any complaints. She'll call to chit chat every once in a while. She calls to tell me happy holidays. And then outside of that, it's a win-win on this one. She plans, and she said she'll pass away before she's able to pay it off, but she's going to make her payments on time, which to me is it was a little unsettling hearing that, but she, that's what she says. She's like, I won't be here before I pay this off, but I'm going to try to in the meantime. So
one thing that we might want to do is help her prepare for that.
Mm.
Find out next time she says something like that, who's she planning on leaving the house to?
Right. I believe she said it was going to be her granddaughter, but her granddaughter is quite young.
Okay. So then we just need to figure out and have that ready in place for the family to take over payments and stuff like that for her daughter and then the granddaughter for that aspect of it. But that's, we're glad to work with them and we're always glad to help people out and stuff like that. So this is a pretty decent return, 25% off the original payment. The extra $30 or $29 she makes a month gives us a nice yield of 27%, which is not bad. Not too shabby. You know what? We're going to leave. We're going to end with that one. We could go on. We could go on and on here. I've actually got another dozen or so that we could work through, but
we have a whole stack of them right here. We can talk about this active bankruptcy one.
Ooh, you want to talk about that one?
No.
Okay. Well, we're in the process of getting the payment sent over to us and stuff like that too. So
yeah, well, and no, this one we have established. We got that. Madison helped us do the change and got all set up. So that's one we just finalized. That's why it's sitting right there, so I can put all the paperwork together and get everything updated and whatever else I need to do on it. So exactly.
So what would you say, Jen, has been your biggest aha moment? I mean, you've been doing this with me for over a year now, going on almost 2 years, right? August will be 2 years.
Due in August.
What's been your biggest aha moment?
I don't know.
How about this? If people don't have experience, should they be calling borrowers?
No, don't even attempt. That's just like sticking your foot into an alligator's mouth or something. Like you're just not, it's not, I mean, even now there's still borrowers that and I've been doing this. I mean, I have 12 years history with the multifamily and renters and cases like this, but there's still some that I can't handle. And so it either pulls on my heartstrings too much because I'm a sucker for some like that, or they're just a PIA, and it's like, you know what, Shantae, I love you, but this is what you're here for, honey. Like, take this one away from me.
Calgon, take the borrower away.
Yeah. So no, Madison is my Calgon. Like Anasia and Saba and Shantae over there. Like, it's like, I love these people. So, but no, I think the most part is one, a lot of the borrowers are more willing to cooperate. So that it's kind of a catch, it's 50-50 because it's like, wow, a lot of these people really were just doing what they're supposed to do and they're paying how they're supposed to and they're doing great. And, I have no issues with them. They're paying us. This is great. Then you have the ones where it's like, they're, batshit crazy. Like, what's going on, to where it's hard for you to work with them, but you're a human being. You want to be decent. But then some moments, like, you just have to draw the line. And the aha moments is like really how the mentality of some of humanity really is, and then how good-hearted it's just like, clash. But outside of that, a lot of it, some of these, it's really sad to hear how some of these people got roped into buying some of these houses that probably were really decrepit when they did buy them. And they put a lot of equity into it and repairs and blood, sweat, and tears and time. And to see that their original loan started at $30,000 and they've been paying on it for 3-4 years and their loan balance is still $31,000. Like and it's hard because it's heartbreaking to them. They're like, I've been working hard and doing this and my balance hasn't come down. So that's where when we come into play and we talk about it and, and that's where it's great when you step in because you're like, okay, we'll forgive this amount or we'll do this, to where, it's the best thing. I mean, to hear the excitement in their voice and the thank yous that we receive, and and people will send us pictures, like like this one lady, she was so excited. She sent a picture of her, trial payment plan with this, smiley face, and she was like, I'm moving in the right direction. So things like that. That's what it's all worth. Spending 8-9 hours a day on the phone with borrowers and 500 emails and a lot of paperwork and files. Yeah, it's not glamorous, but I enjoy it. And I know that we're making a difference for these people, especially considering if they came from NAA, they had a really bad situation. So it's nice to be able to give them, I guess, finally some light at the end of the tunnel, that they've been dealing with. So.
Yeah, you do a great job, Jen. We take good care of you. I think we take good care of you.
Yeah, you throw a taco in here at me every once in a while. And
well, but you also got a pretty flex schedule too, things and stuff up there. And you'll be working from home for quite a bit this next week, obviously.
Oh, yeah, because you guys are going to be gone. Well, and the thing is what's funny is I think because since when I am at home, because I'm not here to hear my phone ring and I just get the voicemails to pop up, I can sit there and knock stuff out. I just turn on music in the apartment and start jamming out stuff, but I don't hear my phone ringing, but I'll get the voicemails popping up. And so it's like, but that instant distraction isn't there to where it's like, oh, I can knock out 4 hours. I can time block and say, okay, these first 4 hours, I'm knock this out. And then the last hour of the day, I'm going to return phone calls and stuff. So actually I get a lot more accomplished, I think. Plus I'm in my pajamas when I'm at home. So it's like, whatever, I'm comfy. So
exactly. And Roy Johnson says here, Jennifer sounds like a real sweetheart. She is. She's great. She's good.
I have my moments.
She's got her moments. There's times when I have to step in, sometimes.
Yeah.
But those are few and far between. And we talk of, hey, what about what's going on with this deal? What's going on with this deal? What do we need to get done? If she gets stumped, she asks me, but she's really good about being proactive and when it is. And, I wish I had a dozen Jens. So.
I have my moments to where I get a little hot-headed and Scott has to tell me to wait 20-30 minutes before I call someone back.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, let me vent and then I'll call him back tomorrow.
Exactly. So. Good stuff. Well, Jen, thank you I know we took some time out of your morning there of your callbacks
It's a nice break, to be honest with you. It's nice to break up the routine. I've been kind of sinking over here, so it was nice to do something a little different.
Exactly. Well, this is going to be a regular occurrence. So on the podcast, because I was looking back at what we've done. We've done a lot of, we had a lot of great interviews, had a lot of great guests on. We talked about a lot of great subjects. And I look back and I was like, oh, we hadn't done a case study day in quite some time. So,
well, and we're getting more and more, and there's some now that we're going to be reaching that 1-year threshold to where then we can go over the modification process or, loan or, whatever, selling off, whatever we're going to be doing. So we're about to hit that mark to where it's a big step hitting that 1-year mark, because a lot of these that are fulfilling their trial payment plans, it's going to be life-changing. So for them, at least on their loan, aspect. So.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. When here in the next couple of weeks, we'll be doing a lot of work at kind of pre-pricing. We got a few buyers for performing contract for deeds and notes too, so we'll be doing some marketing and making some of these available for those that are interested. So, Gail says, under Gail Villanueva says, "Thank you, Jennifer. We heard so many good things about you. I see why now." She says.
Yay.
So you'll get a chance to meet Gail. She comes here in, I think, June for the fast track training. We're excited to have her.
Yeah.
Laura Blunk, you've met, says, "Thank you, Jen."
You're welcome.
Which is good stuff. So, guys, and gals, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thanks for asking questions on the Facebook Live. For those that are listening to this on iTunes, Stitcher, and all the podcast platforms, once again, thank you so much. If you really enjoyed this episode, please do me the favor of going on iTunes and give us a 5-star, 2 thumbs up rating. Would really appreciate that as well. Or share this episode with any of your friends or family or colleagues or peers that you think would find this valuable. But once again, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Closer Show. Over the next week, there's going to be some in and out episodes. We're going to probably doing a few episodes from Pineapple Land, because we are headed out to Hawaii for a week of vacation. And Steph's already given me the thumbs up. It's okay to do an episode or 2 from out there. So
I'm not jealous at all. Do you
I know.
see the look on my face?
We'll bring you back a grass skirt and some pineapples.
Oh, yeah, some coconuts and a grass skirt.
Some rocks from the volcano. So anyway, guys, go out, listen, share, and like. And once again, we'll look forward to seeing you all at the top, everybody. Bye.